The shocking truth about a crack in the slab, haunting secrets revealed at midnight. On March 13, when the clock struck 12, every soul in Millbury felt it, a low, rumbling tremor that vibrated through their bones. They called it the midnight crack, a spine-chilling phenomenon that turned the town's most ordinary landmarks into eerie hubs of mystery. Whispers echoed through bars and cafes. Shadows danced in the streets. No one knew when it would come, but it always left a trail of flickering lights and cold sweat. This time, it felt different, darker. More alive. As the townspeople gripped their glasses, eyes wide and hearts racing, they recalled the last time the crack appeared. Smoke curled around the old hollowed oak at the edge of Millbury, where children dared each other to go near. As they approached, the ground shuddered, splitting open to reveal a yawning abyss. From it emerged whispers that chilled their blood, pleading to be heard, and forgotten. But tonight, it wasn't just the children who felt the tremor. Adults, once sound asleep, bolted upright. The crack had returned this time, in a new location. "Did you hear that?" a voice crackled through the dim light, cutting the tense silence. Amelia, a waitress with a history of ghostly encounters, stood at the bar, clutching her apron like a lifeline. The murmurs escalated, fueling her anxiety. She could see it in the eyes of her regulars. The fear was creeping closer. Then, as if answering their dread, the lights flickered violently, plunging the room into darkness. All that filled the space was an oppressive, numbing silence, drowning out even the slightest heartbeat. Just then, the urgent notification of her phone broke through the fear like a shard of glass. "Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. The lights flickered back to life, revealing faces twisted in fear, hands trembling around glasses. Amelia's gaze darted to the doorway, where shadows twisted and formed. But it didn't just stop there. A familiar figure stepped inside, her sister Emma, her expression painted with panic. "Amelia, you have to come. It's not just stories anymore, it's real." The urgency in her voice sliced through the tension in the room, leaving a lump in everyone's throat. The crack had unleashed something terrible, and they were about to find out what that something was. As Amelia turned to follow her sister into the darkness outside, a feeling crept over her, turning her stomach. What if tonight was the night the town's secrets clawed their way into the light? Where would the midnight crack lead? And what would they discover when they faced it head-on? The night air chilled Amelia to the bone as she followed Emma into the street. Shadows flickered against the walls, stretching and shrinking in response to the ominous pulse of the midnight crack. Ahead, the heart of Millbury, usually vibrant and alive, now looked like a haunted dreamscape, hushed and eerie. "Where are we going?" Amelia asked, trying to steady her voice. "To the old quarry," Emma said, glancing back with wide eyes. "Please, you have to trust me." That wasn't reassuring, but Amelia nodded, her heart racing. The quarry was a place of legend, stories of disappearances and whispers of what lurked in the depths. The tremor had begun somewhere nearby, and she could feel it in her bones. The town was awakening something dark that had long been buried. They stepped quickly over cracked pavement, the world around them vibrating with anticipation. Amelia caught sight of familiar faces peeking through windows. Fear written all over them. They, too, knew the legends. No one dared venture near the quarry, until now. It felt like they were being called, the crack beckoning them like a spell. How could they resist? As they approached the edge of the town, the buzzing tension heightened. Shadows grew longer, elongated by the dim light from the flickering street lamps. Then they stopped. The rumbles intensified, making the ground tremble beneath their feet. A dark fissure gaped below them, a crack in the earth that seemed to be alive. "Look!" Emma pointed, her voice quivering. Amelia followed her gaze to see tendrils of smoke rising from within, twisting like ghosts reaching for freedom. The air tasted acrid and bitter as the eerie whispers of the past crept around them, pulling them closer to the abyss. "Do you hear that?" whispered Amelia, her breath hitching as the sound sharpened, transforming into a cacophony of desperate cries. It was like 1,000 voices blending into one familiar tone, a haunting call that struck right at her core. The hair on her arms stood on end. Memories flooded back of childhood dares and lost souls. Of stories passed down from parents, stories that warned them to stay away. Emma took a step closer, the dread clear on her face. "We need to know what it is. It could be something important," she urged, eyes wide with a mix of fear and curiosity. "What if it's not?" Amelia countered, a knot tightening in her stomach. "What if it's dangerous?" The tremors escalated, flinging loose gravel at their feet like angry raindrops. The air felt charged. Just as Amelia opened her mouth to protest further, the earth trembled violently. Emma stumbled, falling into the darkened fissure. "No!" Amelia screamed, lunging forward to grab her sister. The ground shifted beneath her too, and they both plunged into darkness, screams swallowed by the echoing void. Time ceased, seconds felt like hours as they fell, tumbling into the depths of the unknown. Then, finally, everything stopped. A stillness surrounded them, thick and heavy. Darkness enveloped like a shroud. No whispers now, just profound silence. Amelia's heart raced in her chest, adrenaline coursing through her veins. "Emma?" she croaked, fear twisting in her gut. The threat of what lurked just beyond their reach loomed heavily above them. What had they stumbled into? As her eyes adjusted, shapes began to appear in the darkness, figures moving in shadows, eyes flashing in the void. Then a voice echoed, low and gravelly, cutting through the silence like a knife. "We've been waiting for you." Amelia felt her blood run cold. The secrets of Millbury were no longer just stories. But what lay ahead in the shadows? What were they about to uncover? Amelia's breath caught in her throat. The voice, deep and resonant, sent shivers spiraling down her spine. Panic clawed at her chest as she tried to make sense of the dim shapes surrounding them. They shifted, stretching like dark memories, and the flicker of their eyes felt like judgment. Were these the lost souls of Millbury, trapped forever by the legends? "Emma!" she shouted again, her voice trembling in the oppressive darkness. The shadows shifted, almost mocking her. In the silence that followed, her heart pounded a frantic rhythm. The weight of the fear was suffocating, she felt it in her bones, a drowning sensation taking hold. "Here!" came Emma's voice, brittle but resolute, from somewhere deep within this void. Relief rushed through Amelia, but it was quickly replaced by anxiety. "Are you okay?" Amelia called out, her own voice sounding small and fragile. "Yes," Emma responded, but when Amelia reached out to the darkness, it felt as though she were plunging her hands into ice water. "But I can't see anything." As Amelia's eyes adjusted more, she saw the outlines of the figures more clearly. There were claws, elongated fingers, and heaving bodies, all rippling like liquid shadows. Each flicker of their eyes felt more alarming than the last. "What are you?" she whispered, the question arising from deep inside her. One figure lurched forward with a rustle, and a chill cut through the air. "You've disturbed us," the voice said again, though this time there were multiple voices, weaving together in a dissonance that was scratchy like gravel. "You should have stayed away." Amelia's instincts screamed at her to flee, but where? Around them, the void swallowed all light, and the tremble beneath her feet mirrored the anxiety in her chest. "Are you the ones disappearing from the quarry?" she asked, surprise creeping into her voice as she forced the words out. "Is this why the tremor happened?" "Disappeared?" One figure echoed, a glint of malice lighting up its eyes. "No. We were forgotten. The tremors are our call, a beckoning for the next souls to join us. A flash of recognition sparked within Amelia. The legends, the stories passed down about the quarry, this was it. This was living proof of the horrors portrayed in hushed tones and frightful daycare dares when they were kids. Emma's voice was strained, full of fear. What are they saying? But before Amelia could answer, the ground beneath them cracked, shaking violently. They stumbled, eyes fixing on the opening that had swallowed them. Leave now, or be consumed by the dead of the quarry, the figures hissed together, and the cacophony of whispers grew louder, jarring. Fleeting moments, stolen lives. Come and pay your price. Emma, we have to go. Amelia shouted, adrenaline surging. With a deep breath, she grabbed her sister's arm, pulling her as she turned back toward where they fell from. They scrambled onwards, hearts racing, but the shadowy figures reached out, clawing at the thin fabric of their lives. Don't look back. Emma urged, but Amelia couldn't resist. Curiosity gnawed at her as the voices trailed behind them, urging them closer. There was something deeply alluring about the darkness, and it tugged at her with a magnetic force. What do they want? Amelia gasped, glancing over her shoulder, heart pounding. But before Emma could answer, the wall of shadows loomed, and a deafening rumble shook the ground anew. The darkness pulsated wildly, and Amelia felt the fear turn into sheer terror as lights began flickering. The quarry, the darkness, the voices, it was all happening again, and whatever lay at the center of it was slowly awakening. To her horror, a latch door opened near the edge of the void, vivid colors spilling through like spilled paint, piercing the shadows. Step into the light or remain forever in the dark, the gravel voice tempted, each word hanging like a sickly sweet scent in the air. They were running out of time. What would they choose? The pull of the light or the terror of the darkness behind them? Amelia's heart thundered as they stood at the brink, every instinct shouting for them to act before the shadows claimed them entirely. But what awaited them on the other side? What was that unsettling light, and what did it promise? Amelia's heart raced as she glanced between the beckoning light and the swirling darkness behind them. The shadows writhed with a terrible insistence, a chorus of anguish and longing that sent another chill down her spine. Each flicker of color from the door felt like a heartbeat, vibrant but fleeting, almost mocking their dire situation. Amelia. Emma's voice broke through the haze of panic. What if it's a trap? Then we'd be trapped either way. Amelia shot back, desperation fueling her words. This moment echoed with a gravity she couldn't ignore. Time was slipping away like sand through their fingers, and they needed to make a choice. The shifting shadows pressed closer, whispering in hissing tones, taunting them. You're so close, come closer, join us. The call of the darkness wrapped around Amelia like a thread, pulling at her insides. With a deep breath, she stepped forward. I'm going for it. She yelled, resolve firming. She could feel Emma's grip tightening around her wrist, fear radiating between them. Don't you dare. Emma urged, but the lights dazzled, dancing with promises of safety and truth. They felt almost alive, trembling with energy, offering a way out of what seemed an inevitable demise. In a heartbeat, Amelia released Emma's hand. It was instinct, survival pushing her forward. The space between them widened as Amelia lunged into the light, and suddenly, the world around her exploded in brightness. The cacophony of whispers fell silent, but it wasn't relief that washed over her, it was chaos. She stumbled into a vast, glittering landscape, filled with manic colors like a dream turned vivid. The colors enveloped her, making her feel weightless yet oddly ungrounded, as though reality had shifted beneath her feet. Everything was too bright, too surreal. Amelia. Emma's voice echoed, distant, trembling through the undulating haze. Panic shot through Amelia as she spun around. Emma. Where are you? But there was no answer. The colors swirled, and reality itself felt slippery, as if she could wake up at any second. Memories of the quarry, of shadows and whispers, lingered as echoes on the edges of her mind. "Why did you leave?" a voice chimed, striking her like an icy dagger. It was smooth and low, dripping with familiarity. Every hair on her body stood on end as she turned to face the source. Before her stood a figure cloaked in shadow yet crowned with brilliant light, features obscured but undeniably there. A sense of dread coiled in Amelia's stomach, twisting tighter with every heartbeat. "This world you've stepped into, it is not as you think," the figure grated. "You must understand. There is a choice to be made." "What do you mean?" Amelia's voice cracked, fear clawing its way up her throat like a live wire. The figure lifted a hand, revealing something, a glimmering shard of glass, or was it ice? In any case, it pulsed with an energy that made Amelia's heart race. "This is the key," it said, "but to unlock it, you must confront the truth. Would you face the darkness you feared, or will you turn to face what you left behind?" The sound of Emma's cries cut through the vibrant chaos, snapping Amelia back to the urgency of the moment. "Emma!" she screamed, feeling the fight within her surge. "I'm coming." With that, the light around her began to twist and warp, threatening to pull her deeper into its alluring embrace. But Amelia felt a spark of determination ignite in her chest. Fleeing shadows haunted her, yet the truth, the horrid truth of their shared fate beckoned. What were they running from? What were they truly leaving behind? As the light flickered and dimmed, she knew she might only have one shot to break through. Would she possess the courage to shatter the illusion, no matter the cost? A surge of adrenaline shot through her as she took a leap of faith, plunging into an uncharted darkness, the glimmering shard still in sight. But would it illuminate the way, or lead her further astray? What awaited her in that uncertainty? The moment Amelia plunged into the darkness, her heart was a drumbeat echoing in the void. She felt herself falling, not through space but through time, a dizzying spiral where flickers of memories, regrets, and questions tangled around her like vines. It was suffocating, but her resolve sharpened with each heartbeat. With a jolt, she landed on solid ground, though the ground itself felt uncertain, shifting beneath her feet. Shadows crept along the edges, whispering promises and threats, blending with the vibrant colors that still sparkled like a distant sunset. Amelia, the voice was softer this time, like silk brushing against her mind. "Face the truth," she spun around, breath quickening. The figure was closer now, its outline shimmering and shifting, caught between darkness and light. Its eyes, brilliant and piercing, locked onto hers, pulling her deeper into a current of emotion she couldn't quite articulate. "What truth?" she demanded, her voice steady even as the tremor of doubt seeped in. "The truth of your choice," the figure replied, motioning towards the shard resting in the palm of its hand. "What you abandoned to chase the brightness. Choices have echoes, Amelia. They ripple through all you know." Images spun around her, fracturing like a mirror. Memories she held dear twisted into nightmarish versions, her family, her past, the dark moments she thought she had left behind. They played out on the theater of her mind, each scene more agonizing than the last. "No," she choked out. "That's not me anymore." The figure tilted its head, a shadowy smile creeping across its lips. "But is it not? Running, hiding, you've woven these shadows into the fabric of who you are. They are part of your canvas. To confront them is to reclaim your power." "But how?" Amelia's mind scrambled. She clenched her fists, tears brimming. "How do I face what I'm terrified of?" With deliberate slowness, the figure extended the shard towards her. It thrummed with energy, the surface reflecting her frightened face, distorted and trembling. "Take it, use it. It will guide you back to what you fear most. You cannot escape it." The ground trembled under her, a deep thrum like a heartbeat of the very earth. "Emma!" she called again, desperation clawing at her throat. She could hear her friend's cries growing fainter, like a ghost fading into the ether. A surge of guilt washed over her, mingled with primal fear. "The shadows are alive, Amelia." The figure hissed as if sensing her deliberation. Every choice you make in this instant can change the fate of you both. Amelia inhaled sharply, feeling the weight of the shard heavy in her palm. This was the key, yet it felt like a chain. Memories of laughter, warmth, and loss pressed down on her. They filled her with longing but also with terror. Steeling herself, she took a step toward the shifting shadows, defiance igniting within her. I won't run anymore. I will face it. The lights flickered violently, and the shadows shrieked, swirling fiercely as if trying to protect a hidden truth. Amelia's heart raced faster. The throbbing pulse of energy surged in her hand, and she felt invincible, as if she could shatter the very ground beneath her. Hold on to your courage. The figure shouted, its voice drowned by the cacophony around her. Only then will you uncover the truth. With a shout that resonated deep within her soul, Amelia cast the shard into the swirling darkness. In that instant, everything exploded in a flash of blinding light and vivid colors, enveloping her in warmth. But amidst the brightness, a fragment of darkness loomed ominously. What will become of Emma? Can Amelia rise from her own shadows to save them both? The answers lay just ahead, but chaos was still looming, and the truth she sought was teetering on the brink of revelation. A burst of color surrounded Amelia, a swirl of radiant hues and piercing shadows dancing violently around her. It felt like she had stepped into a dream, one of those dreams you wake from gasping, clutching your chest, unsure if you were awake or still lost in a slumbering nightmare, but this was no dream. The warmth faded, and the ground beneath her twisted violently as if trying to throw her off balance. Voices echoed, rising and falling like waves crashing on a distant shore. She struggled to keep her footing. With each heartbeat, her pulse mingled with the chaos, a tempo of fear and urgency. Emma! She screamed again, her voice slicing through the cacophony, desperate and raw. The colors dimmed, and for a heartbeat, silence fell like a thick blanket. Then, a familiar cry pierced the air, and Amelia's heart shattered at the sound. She's here. The voice cried a mixture of terror and pleading. It was Emma, but there was something off. Something twisted by fear. Amelia dashed forward, cutting through the shadows, which clawed at her, trying to drag her back into the void. Each step felt heavy, and with every ounce of willpower, she fought against the memories that sought to drown her. Was this the truth she needed to face the truth of their shattered bond? The shadows blended, forming shapes of her past, blurred faces sitting by the dinner table, laughter echoing, a birthday party where her absence felt like a chasm. No! I am not that person anymore. She shouted defiantly, shoving the memories aside. Just ahead, she saw Emma, tangled in threads of shadow, her face twisted in anguish. Amelia! Help me! Her voice cracked like glass, a sound Amelia couldn't bear. It's okay. I'm here. She lunged forward, reaching for her friend. But as she drew closer, the shadows warped, elongating and twisting, pulling Emma further away. The ground beneath Amelia bucked violently. Let her go! Amelia screamed, pure rage propelling her forward. She grasped at the darkness, fingers sinking into its depths. The weight of the shard pressed against her chest, pulse racing as it begged her to use it. Trust the shard, trust yourself, the figure's voice echoed in her mind, calm but insistent. Taking a deep breath, Amelia focused on the energy thrumming in her palm. She could feel the warmth radiating, a connection to her own strength fighting to break through. Embrace the shadows. She hollered, willing her courage to summon an opening in the chaos. You will not win. With a sudden clarity, Amelia raised the shard. The shadows recoiled, almost as if they were alive, squirming in the face of her determination. She hurled it forward, allowing the surge of energy to explode outward. Light caught the shadows, refracting and filtering through like a prism. The moment collided with the suffocating darkness until a crack formed, a fissure that opened like a portal. Emma's eyes widened, reflecting a flicker of hope in the midst of terror. The light pulsed, drawing her back toward Amelia, time stretching. Just as their hands nearly connected, the darkness roared, surging forward like a frenzied beast intent on destruction, but Amelia felt that the bond between them was stronger, and their decision to face their fears together loomed larger than the shadows. "Emma! Grab my hand." In the swirling tempest of light and dark, doubt flickered. Everything hung in a fragile balance. But before their fingers could touch, a force tore them apart, sending Amelia tumbling backward into the abyss. "What have I done?" she thought, spiraling once more into a dark unknown. Echoes of laughter morphed into chilling cries as the shadows closed in around her. "What will you sacrifice to save her?" A whisper slithered through the air. Amelia's heart plummeted, realization dawning in chilling waves. Was this the ultimate test of her courage, facing the price of love? As darkness enveloped her, the struggle between light and shadow nagged at the edges of her mind. She had one chance to pull through or risk losing everything. Could she confront the sacrifice needed to reclaim that bond? How far was she willing to go to ensure Emma's safety? The stakes were climbing, and the answer lay just outside reach. Amelia tumbled deeper into the abyss, her heart racing, fear wrapping around her like a suffocating shroud. The shadows surged around her, clawing at her, whispering sinister secrets she couldn't quite grasp. Memories beat against her conscience, a relentless tide trying to drown her. She felt weightless, yet burdened by the decisions she hadn't made. "Amelia." The voice was faint, a distant echo of Emma's call. Each syllable was laced with desperation, pulling Amelia forward into a darkness that threatened to consume her entirely. "Emma." She cried out, but the word felt hollow, swallowed by the consuming void. Panic swelled within her like a wave crashing against a cliff. The last glimpse of Emma was etched in her mind: fear, pain, longing. "I have to find her." Suddenly, the darkness shifted, swirling like a storm around her as if sensing her urgency. The shadows morphed, each one weaving a tapestry of doubt and despair. Could this be another trial? Another twist in an already tangled fate? The whisper returned, eerily sweet yet suffused with malice. "To save her, you must face the truth." Amelia could feel something more than just fear. An insatiable hunger pulsated around her, whispering temptations of what could be if she surrendered to the shadows. "No!" she shouted, shaking her head. "I won't give in." Strength surged through her when she clutched the shard, the familiar warmth igniting her resolve. "I'm not afraid of you." Fueled by that defiance, she focused all her energy on the shard's light. The glow grew brighter, cutting through the thick darkness surrounding her. Clarity rushed in. "Show me!" she roared, her voice echoing as if demanding the shadows to relent. "Show me what I need to see." The shadows reacted, writhing more violently, the air crackling with energy as ancient memories danced before her. She was transported in an instant, witnessing the moments that had led to this. There she was, a younger version of herself, standing on the porch of a dilapidated house, tears in her eyes, a rift tearing apart her family. "You don't understand, Amelia." Her father's voice boomed. "You need to choose." The scene flickered like a broken film reel, morphing into another painful memory of Emma, clutching Amelia's hand with fear in her eyes. "Don't leave me, Amelia. Please." Guilt crashed over her like an icy wave. She had turned her back then, hadn't she? How easy it had been to walk away when things got tough. Heart racing, Amelia's mind raced ahead. Could this path lead to the very sacrifice she feared? "Face it, Amelia," the whisper urged gently, an unsettling calm in the chaos. "How many times have you put your fears before her?" But she wouldn't dwell there, she couldn't. Gritting her teeth, Amelia pushed through the spectral memories. Each one threatened to trap her in its grasp, yet the urge to find Emma propelled her on. She had to break the cycle. "If I face this, if I confront the truth, maybe I can reach her," she thought, determination flooding her veins. As if sensing the shift within her, the shadows tightened, pressing in like a vice. She couldn't breathe. "What are you willing to offer?" The voice lingered, seductive, wrapping its tendrils around her. "What will you sacrifice?" Amelia's pulse thundered in her ears as reality came crashing back, the shard's warm light flickering dimly in her grasp. "Everything," she whispered, a pact forming within her. "I'll give everything to save her." Darkness enveloped her once more, the weight of her decision heavy on her shoulders. The air crackled with tension as she braced herself, ready to confront her demons. But what would happen when she did? Would the sacrifice be too great? Would she lose herself in the shadows? As a cold wind swept through the void, Amelia steeled herself for the impending confrontation, the shadows swirling violently around her. "Show me!" She yelled into the darkness, her voice cracking. But the darkness remained silent, waiting, always waiting. What did it want from her? And just as a whisper of light appeared ahead, a chilling realization crept in: something worse was looming, something she had yet to understand. "Amelia." The voice was unmistakably Emma's, trembling on the edge of despair. But now what would she have to face to truly save her? The shadows began to blur, warping and shifting like a living entity. Just beyond them, Amelia sensed the flicker of light growing brighter, and she felt an instinctual pull toward it. But as she moved forward, the darkness quivered, stretching out like skeletal fingers, trying to drag her back into its depths. "Stop!" she shouted against the oppressive weight. Her voice echoed hollowly, blending with the chilling silence around her. For a moment, she wavered, the temptation of darkness insidiously whispering promises of ease and escape. "You cannot run from what you've done," it hissed. "No, that's not how this ends." Amelia clenched the shard tight, feeling its life-affirming warmth seep into her palm. "I'm done hiding." The intense light of the shard flickered as she pressed forward, conviction fueling each step. Images of Emma lost, frightened, and alone came back to her. She couldn't let fear drown her. She had to face the truth, and it had to start now. The shadows howled as she approached the glimmer. An image materialized, crackling like static. Amelia gasped. In front of her, she saw Emma, vulnerable and chained, bound not by metal, but by illusions. The girl looked fractured, her spirit stained by the darkness that surrounded her. "Amelia," she called again, a soft whimper that sent chills down Amelia's spine. "I'm here. I'm coming." Amelia lunged forward, desperation pushing against the encroaching shadows. But the moment she reached out, the chains retreated, pulling Emma deeper into the void. "No!" Amelia's screams rang out, filled with raw fear, and she felt a tug within her, a thread connecting her to Emma. It pulled taut, an aching reminder of their bond, but also their mounting separation. She knew she had to act, and fast. "We must understand." The taunting whisper slithered in again, curling around her thoughts. "What is it that you truly fear?" Memories cascaded, each one sharp, vivid, and painful. The first time she had chosen her ambitions over Emma. That day at the park, when she prioritized popularity above her best friend's silent tears. Every sacrifice, every missed call, each moment when she turned away. "No." Amelia shook her head violently. "I won't give you that. I'm not her keeper, I never was." "Ah, but you are." The shadows surged forward, swallowing her words and raising the stakes. The air grew electric, crackling around her as a smirk of realization fell over the darkness. It reveled in her turmoil, eager to exploit her guilt. "You abandoned her." "No." The denial erupted from Amelia's lips, shaking her to her core. With each memory, the chains around Emma tightened, and Amelia felt it in her chest like needles piercing flesh. "Let me go!" Amelia roared. The shard flared to life in her hand, illuminating the darkness surrounding her, weakening its grip. Suddenly, the images shifted again, and Amelia stood before a painful recollection, the moment she left her family behind to chase a dream. How could she have thought that was noble? How could she have been so selfish? In an instant, the truth struck her like a thunderclap. This isn't just about Emma, she whispered, realization dawning. Older wounds resurfaced, every moment of regret was a chain tying her to the shadows. I have to face everything, don't I? Yes, the whisper exulted. Only then can you break free. The energy crackled with urgency. Amelia's heart raced, and the world condensed around her. She raised the shard high as hopes and fears intertwined in a dance of light and dark. Then show me, she demanded. Show me the truth I need to face. With those words, the shadows recoiled momentarily, as if uncertain of her will. Amelia's resolve hardened, and in that pivotal moment, she recognized clarity in the chaos, but what bones would she need to lay bare? What monstrous truths would emerge from deep within? As the abyss shifted, the shadows roared in defiance, and a terrible silence ensued. Because at that very moment, right on the precipice, she knew the next revelation could shatter everything she had believed, and reshape her connection to Emma forever. What awaited her, lurking in the dark, ready to expose secrets she was terrified to confront? The world around Amelia twisted and churned, shadows swirling like a tempest. Every heartbeat felt amplified, echoing against the walls of despair that threatened to close in on her. The shard pulsed with urgency in her hand, its brilliance cutting through the heavy fog that shrouded her memories. Shadows writhed angrily, stinging her with whispers drenched in malice. Face it, Amelia. They screeched, voices intermingling into a chorus that pressed upon her mind. You think you can outrun your past? Leave me alone. She spat, fury igniting within her again. She had spent too long entangled in guilt, and now, she was done allowing fear to dictate her choices. The light began to shift, illuminating her surroundings, revealing dark figures lurking at the edge, a parade of her traumas, old and new. They materialized one by one, grotesque apparitions taunting her with moments she had tried so hard to forget. First, the schoolyard incident replayed before her eyes. She felt the sting of Emma's hurt when she turned away to join a group that mocked her best friend. Amelia's heart clenched, witnessing the spectral image of Emma, alone and desolate as she walked away, was like a punch to the gut. I was scared, Amelia murmured, the truth sluicing through her defenses, pooling into a whisper of vulnerability. I thought I could protect myself. Protect yourself? The shadows shrieked in cruel laughter. You only destroyed her. The next vision flickered like a film reel, showing her family's broken faces at dinner tables turned silent. They exchanged worried glances, all while she scoured the city for fleeting fame. Each smile she wore masked a dagger thrust deep into their hearts. Panic surged within her, burgeoning like a wildfire. Guilt clawed at her throat. Why did I think this was okay? She gasped, and the truth washed over her, chilly and heavy, forcing her to her knees. Yes, Amelia. The shadows hissed, descending closer, tightening their grip. Now do you understand? Only when you confront this will you be free. Gritting her teeth, she pushed through the suffocating darkness. I will face it. I'm ready. She screamed. Suddenly, she found herself standing before yet another sight, a mirror reflecting a younger version of herself, wide-eyed and naive. You chose ambition over love, the child version of her said, voice faltering. You thought success would bring happiness. Amelia staggered back, striking the wall, pain erupting in her chest. I never wanted to hurt anyone. She cried. The mirror shimmered, a window to the essence of regret and missed opportunities. Yet you did, the voice echoed, each word heavy with irony. And now what? You think you can fix it? The shard in her hand vibrated wildly, responding to her turmoil. Its brilliance pulsed in synchrony with her heart. She felt its warmth seep into her, urging her to stand tall against the overwhelming tide of shadows. I can try. She shouted, each word laced with desperation and hope. I can make it right. I want to let Emma down again. With that, the darkness recoiled slightly, the shadows parting as if questioning her resolve. But still, they raged not defeated, only looking for a fatal chink in her armor. Very well, Amelia, the whispers roared in unity, swirling in a chaotic dance. The truth sets free, but it can also destroy. If you dare to step forward, prepare for the fallout. Eyes widening, Amelia looked into the heart of the darkness, alive with energy and secrets. What would be unearthed? What truths would claw their way to the surface, truths that could cause her to lose everything? As she steadied her breath, a strange conviction settled within her. I'm not just fighting for me. I'm fighting for Emma. And in that moment, the gasp of the void echoed like a drum, the anticipation of confrontation crackling in the air. Whether redemption awaited or destruction hung in the balance, one thing remained clear: this was only the beginning. What fiercely buried secret would surface next, and could it splinter the fragile hope she clung to? Amelia felt her heart hammering against her chest as the shadows roared louder, closing in around her and the pulsating shard in her hand. She remembered Emma's face, filled with fear and desperation. She couldn't let the darkness claim her sister. Not like this. Taking a deep breath, she focused on the memories, all the pain she had buried. I'm ready to face everything, she shouted. No more running. The shadows writhed as if in response, their whispers filling her ears with chilling declarations of failure. Face the truth, Amelia. What have you sacrificed? 1,000 voices hissed, blending into a cacophony of dread. I sacrificed love. I sacrificed Emma. She screamed back, claws of anger and sorrow ripping through her heart. Each admission felt like cleansing fire, each word cutting deeper until she felt raw and exposed. Suddenly, the ground trembled violently beneath her. What will you give to make things right? What price will you pay? The darkness taunted, beckoning her into its clutches. Amelia hesitated, feeling the weight of the question. The truth was a sharp knife, always buried in the shadows. I'll give anything. I'll face my past, my pain. Just let me save her. With those words, the light in the shard flared brighter, illuminating the darkness surrounding her like a beacon. The shadows hissed and recoiled, the brightness forcing them back, if only for a moment. She took a step forward, filled with fierce determination. We're more than fear. We're sisters. And I refuse to lose you again. Amelia shouted into the depths. I've been running long enough. I won't abandon you, Emma. The ground lurched, and suddenly Amelia was thrust into a whirlwind. The memories surged back like a tidal wave: her failures, her regrets, the moment she chose ambition over love. Faces flashed before her, moments sliced in time, each one a reminder of her disconnection with Emma. Remember the park? Remember leaving her behind? A voice from the shadows taunted. Was that love? No. Amelia shouted defiantly. I did it out of fear. Fear of losing myself. As if struck by lightning, the darkness writhed until it began to crack apart. The shadows shimmered, losing shape, fading as memories poured into the space. But even as the darkness crumbled, she could feel it pulse with rage and venom. Step aside, and you will never face this again. They bellowed in unison, the ground beneath her heated with the weight of their promise. But Amelia tightened her grip on the shard, its warmth pulsing in rhythm with her heartbeat. I choose to face it. I choose love. She cried, knowing this choice would shape their destinies. In that moment, the cacophony reached a fever pitch, a thunderous rush of sound bursting around her as the very fabric of the shadows began to unravel. Then be prepared for the pain of your truth. The darkness screeched, its voice echoing in agony as tendrils of shadow lashed out defiantly. The shards of brilliance enveloped Amelia, creating an ethereal barrier that pushed against the encroaching darkness. She focused, letting out a radiant scream charged with her declarations of love, intent, and sacrifice. A blinding flash erupted. The shadows recoiled in terror, unspooled, and collapsed into the abyss, their whispers turning to shrieks. No! You dare to break free? Yes! Amelia echoed, feeling the light expand endlessly, burning away the fear and the doubt. And then, silence. As the luminous wave dissipated, Amelia found herself standing at the precipice of the void, panting heavily, but feeling light. The world around her was tinted with color, vibrant and alive. And ahead, strode Emma trembling but whole, her eyes flickering between relief and bewilderment. Amelia! Emma breathed, tears of emotion breaking free, cascading down her cheeks. I'm here. Amelia rushed forward, collapsing into her sister's embrace, wrapped in warmth and forgiveness. The shadows were gone, they defaced the truth, together. I knew you would come for me, Emma whispered, her voice thick with quiet understanding. I'm done running, Amelia confessed, holding Emma tight. There's nothing worth losing you again. They pulled back slightly, gazing into the other's eyes, a surge of love flooding the space between them. Are we free? Emma asked cautiously, hope shimmering beneath the fear. Amelia nodded, the bond between them stronger than ever. We faced the darkness together. We're free to choose our paths. As they took a step away from the void, where shadows had lurked just moments before, the dawning light of a new day broke the silence. The air felt renewed, a tender breeze that carried whispers of hope. The quarry behind them felt resolved, remnants of distorted faces melting away as if the shadows had never existed. Beneath the warmth of the sun, Amelia and Emma intertwined their fingers, ready to reclaim their lives outside the darkness. The legends. Emma started. Let them fade, Amelia interjected gently, her heart lightened. Let us write our own story instead. And as they walked hand in hand, the weight of the past lifted, leaving only the promise of new beginnings ahead. Millbury was breaking free, closer to healing, closer to truth. This sisterly bond would become a legacy built on love, the crimson threads of connection lighting their way. As the sun rose behind them, illuminating each step with opportunity, Amelia felt the cracks of their journey transform into a mosaic of strength. Their path shimmered ahead, a pathway of unity, woven from courage and the relentless pursuit to face what once was. It was time to tell their story, their truth, and share it with the world. You need to subscribe now so you don't miss the next exclusive stories. Smash the like button now to feed the algorithm. Flood the comments section with your reactions and theories about their journey. And don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion. Your support makes a difference. Let us connect.